After a car accident, Dr. Strange's hands suffered severe nerve damage, ending his surgical career. After spending all of his money on numerous surgeries, he finally finds the path to healing his hands with something called mind healing. But what does science think about this? In the movie, Dr. Strange decides to spend the rest of his money to go all the way to Nepal to heal himself after he met a man that was paralyzed and deemed untreatable, succeeded in healing himself. Like this one, there are hundreds, maybe thousands of cases that science hasn't been able to explain, also known as miracles by religions. And I'm not just talking about nerve recovery, but also cancer or genetic diseases which traditional medicines call incurable. For example, there is the famous case in the late 50s of Dr. Bruno Klopfer, who was treating a patient with advanced widespread lymphoma, a serious cancer of the immune system, with the famous 50s drug called Kribiosin. Shortly after it was administered, the patient's tumors melted like snowballs. A few months later, when newspapers began to carry accounts of the ineffectiveness of the drug, the patient's tumors promptly recurred. Suspecting that the patient's belief was the reason why he got healed in the first instance, Klopfer decided to tell him that he would give him a specially more active form of the drug, but actually he treated him with distilled water. And again, the tumors melted. A few months later, definitive studies were published showing that Kribiosin was worthless. The patient became disillusioned, his tumors reappeared, and he died shortly after that. Another one is the case of Dr. Albert Mason, a British physician, who in 1952 decided to treat a 15-year-old kid's warts using hypnosis. His first session focused on one arm, and while the kid was in a hypnotic trance, Mason told him that the skin on that arm would heal and turn into healthy pink skin. 1 week after that, the arm was healthy with no warts. But when Mason spoke to the surgeon that first tried unsuccessfully to help the kid, he learned that the kid wasn't suffering from warts, but from a lethal genetic disease called congenital ichthyosis. But Mason continued the hypnosis sessions, converting the boy's whole body into healthy pink skin. These two cases prove the power of the mind. But how? How were these people able to overcome diseases that take the lives of most of the people that carry them?
How did you correct a complete C7-C8 spinal cord injury?
Well, even if there's not a full understanding of how this mind-healing process works, the answer for this could reside in the waves that the brain produces. A publication by the physicist Colin McClare called Resonance in Bioenergetics revealed that energetic signaling mechanisms such as electromagnetic frequencies are 100 times more efficient in relaying environmental information than physical signals such as hormones or neurotransmitters. So even if our brain doesn't produce electromagnetic waves per se, or at least as far as we know, it produces electrical activity. And even though we haven't found a way to convert the electrical activity that our brain produces into electromagnetic signals powerful enough to modify the state of our cells, experiments prove this is actually possible. An experiment conducted by Glen Rein showed how a healer, through different mental intentions, was able to influence the growth of tumor cells. He placed cancerous cells in petri dishes, and each dish was sent one of 5 different mental intentions by thoughts from the healer. What he found was that 3 of these intentions actually inhibited the cancerous growth, with "return the cells to their natural order" being the most effective one with 39% of inhibition. I know, all of this sounds crazy, and you might be thinking like Dr. Strange right now.
You reject the possibility?
No, I reject it because I do not believe in fairy tales about chakras or energy or the power of belief. There is no such thing as spirit. We are made of matter and nothing more.
What we know for sure is that our cells, brains, and bodies work in ways that we haven't been able to fully explain yet. And odd healing cases like the ones described here make it even more difficult to understand. But at the end of the day, they give us hope. The hope of healing ourselves without having to meet the Ancient One.
See you next week with a new video.